Hey, what's going on everyone? My name is COLLABS and welcome back to the channel. The M1 iPad Pro has been out now for over 6 months, and so I wanted to make a video giving my long-term review as well as going over my workflow as a content creator making tech videos like this one, but also shooting product photography. I picked up the 512GB model, but this is embarrassing to say. I somehow have only used 71. So yeah, the main reason is because I do a lot of photo work on here, and through my Adobe Creative Cloud subscription as well as iCloud cloud storage, I don't have that much on the device itself. But then again, this is something that's going to be sticking around for quite some time, so I'd rather have more storage than not. I don't know what I'm saying, so let's just get into the video. To begin and talk about the chip itself, it's great, but it doesn't make the iPad any less iPad-y. Now, that's definitely not a word, but what I'm trying to say is that it's very overkill because iPadOS puts a lot of limitations on the hardware. It's not all bad though, because it makes everything on here butter smooth and load instantly. Paired with the 120Hz ProMotion screen, it makes everything you do on here just a joy. One of the biggest use cases of the iPad in my workflow is for note-taking and planning. Each one of my videos begins by opening up a Notion document and jotting down some of the ideas I have. Now, I don't do this exclusively on the iPad, as it's kind of more dependent on how I'm feeling at that moment, but really, that's exactly what I love about it. Sometimes I want to sit at the desk on my PC with a mechanical keyboard, or other times I'll just want to go somewhere a little more minimal that I can focus easier in. The great thing about being in the Apple ecosystem is that the notes from my iPad will sync into my Mac or iPhone, and then also using Notion allows me to access my scripts from any device. Over the past couple weeks scripting my videos, I've actually gone away to another desk. It's on the other side of the room, and I just bring my iPad and a pair of headphones, which I thought I left out to show, but yeah. I don't even bring my phone because I just want to keep this as a separate and quiet, peaceful place to work. Other times when taking notes for school, I can pop it off the keyboard and lay it down flat, so having that versatility is fantastic. But getting back to note-taking itself, for example, let's say I was reviewing a product. I would jot down some of my initial impressions, the big things like design, features, etc. I'll throw down whatever I'm thinking, as well as just watch other videos for inspiration. A feature that I'm a really big fan of in iPadOS 15 is Quick Note, which allows you to quickly drag out from the bottom right corner and jot down any random thought you have, whether this be a video idea or an idea for that business that'll be the next big thing. All my notes get typed up on the Magic Keyboard, which has been the perfect little companion for my iPad setup. It's been out for a few years now, but the white version came out alongside the iPad this year. The obvious questions to ask are, how is it holding up, and does it stay clean? To which I answer, quite surprisingly, yeah. I lug this thing back and forth to school every day, from the desk at home to lecture halls and library, and been really impressed. Pretty much the only thing is that you'll get some dirt that builds up on the back of the hinge and underneath the keyboard, but this always comes off easily with just a quick wipe. The keys have a good amount of travel, so typing on them feels great. They're no mechanical switches, but still have a nice sound to them. I can't really critique it too much for this because of its size, but it's annoying to not have media keys when I want to quickly pause a podcast I'm listening to, and also not having an escape key can be a pain at times. It has really good build quality and is very thin, so it doesn't add much thickness to the iPad when it's closed up. I've yet to drop it, knock on wood, so I can't speak to its drop resistance, but the sides are left exposed. It is a bit heavy, weighing more than the iPad itself. This is in an effort to balance the weight because the screen is also where the computer is, unlike a regular laptop. Unfortunately, this makes it not the most lappable because it's always falling forward. Having the trackpad is a nice addition and makes the navigation through the iPad a lot nicer. It's definitely a bit of a change from macOS though, and my biggest gripe is that because of its size, copying large blocks of text is difficult. Your finger ends up getting to the end before you can finish, and so you have to do this awkward two-hand thing. Other than using it as an actual keyboard, it's functional in that it elevates your screen for the optimal viewing angle. I can set it up at the desk if I want to watch a video, but I actually don't do that quite as much as I thought I would. More often, I have notes to the side of me when I'm scripting a video. The design of it is beautiful, giving this sweet floating effect. Connecting the iPad to it is seamless with the magnets on the back. I haven't noticed it draining any significant amount of battery, but you can always charge it through the USB-C pass-through on the right side. Battery life on the device as a whole has been pretty good. I have no issues having it last a day or two on a single charge. But for me, it's really not that important, as I spend a lot of time with the iPad at a desk near a charger. Having it propped up is so convenient to use when I'm editing photos or writing handwritten notes on it. But at its $300 price tag, or $350 for the 12.9-inch version, you really gotta love this thing. If you want to see more of my in-depth thoughts, I actually made a review a couple months back that I'll leave a link to, if I remember, in the description and the card above. When I complete all of my thoughts and create a more structured script to follow, the next place I bring my iPad is back to the desk. Here I'll set up for A-roll, which is what you're seeing now, and set it up to read from. I'm still pretty proud of this and kind of feel like a genius, but I bought a pair of newer lights and modded one of them, flipped it upside down, and now have it as a stand for the iPad to sit on. It's positioned underneath the camera so that I can read off of it and look back up and act like I know what the hell I'm doing. It still doesn't save me from messing up 10 times. So if you guys have any tips let me know. Having the iPad on the Magic Keyboard makes it easy to prop up so that I can reference the script while in the edit. Once I'm finished, I use the iPad to make a shot list outlining all the different B-roll shots I'll include throughout the video. I generally do two types of shots, either with a tripod or handheld, but sometimes I'll whip out the gimbal if I'm feeling miserly. In addition to this, I like to plan my intros a little more specifically and sketch out thumbnail ideas, so that's where the Apple Pencil can really come in handy. It's always connected and charging on top for quick access, so I can just grab it and jot down ideas for potential shots and get a feel for the flow of it all. Its matte finish makes it feel great in the hands, and the way it glides across the screen makes writing feel amazing. Because of all this planning, it makes the shoot itself, but also the editing process, a whole lot smoother. Every time I knock out a shot, I'll run over to the iPad, take the Apple Pencil, flick it around my hand, failing to do a cool trick, and then check it off in Notion, feeling accomplished. When I'm filming, I like to listen to music, pull up YouTube videos, or listen to podcasts, and while I do most of the time just wear my AirPods for the convenience, the speakers inside of the iPad are actually quite good, so I wouldn't be opposed to listening on them. When I'm back to the desk in Final Cut Pro 10, the iPad is right on my side, letting me know which B-roll shot to use. I'll double check the number ID I gave it in Notion so that I can easily find it in the pool of imported files. Using the iPad and Magic Keyboard for notes and planning the video works really well, but another task that it performs great in is photo editing. After taking shots on my Sony camera, I take my SD card reader because we're all about that dongle life. Jokes aside, the Thunderbolt 3 port allows for really quick data transfer up to 40 gigabits per second. With that, imports to Lightroom are a walk in the park. This, along with Photoshop, aren't the full desktop versions, but the edits I do are all relatively simple that it does the job perfectly. The Apple Pencil makes adjusting the sliders precise and smooth, and paired with the ProMotion screen, it all feels super fluid. Where it really shines though is going into Photoshop to use the healing brush. Being able to zoom in and draw exactly where I want to clean something up is super clutch, and a lot harder to do with a mouse or trackpad on a Mac in my opinion. For reference, here are just a few of my favorite shots that I've edited on the iPad. While video production and photo editing are the bulk of the work that's done on the iPad, designing is something that works really well. I'm never content with the design of my website, so being able to mock up a new interface with the pencil is super convenient. I use this app called Mockup where you can choose from templates for web and UI designs that make it a whole lot easier. Occasionally, I'll hop into Notability and mock up a design for something like a logo or a YouTube banner. All of my actual final designs are made up in Sketch on the Mac, but using tools like Procreate, you can do some really cool work on the iPad. While I love to create content, a vital part of the process is consuming it. I'm always trying to keep my eye out, studying and observing other talented creators so that I can take what I learn and execute it in my own way. Having notes open on the side of the screen with a video playing on the other makes it super easy to analyze and jot down ideas that pop up in my head while watching. The compact size of the 11-inch iPad makes viewing content easy, convenient, and better yet, the screen looks fantastic. It has a peak brightness of 600 nits, which isn't the brightest, but I've had no issues using it. Also featuring the P3 color gamut, this makes creative work like photo editing so good, as well as just looking super nice. Adding on to what I said about consuming, I like to chat with other creators about our master plans, and so having the Magic Keyboard makes having these conversations easier. Perhaps you prefer to hop on a video call to chat. With the iPad center stage feature and the microphone, you can have a fairly high quality experience. While I'm not advocating for using them, there are some pretty decent cameras on the back with a 12 megapixel wide and 10 megapixel ultra wide. On the front, you just have a 12 megapixel ultra wide for center stage, so unfortunately, you do have to sacrifice some of the quality for that. Depending on the light in the room, it will be grainy and have a lot of noise. It's also just in an awful spot as 9 times out of 10, I'm using it in the landscape, and so my finger will always be blocking it when trying to use Face ID. While all this is fantastic, iPadOS really holds back the hardware in a lot of ways, preventing it from being a good all-in-one solution. There are plenty of times throughout the process where going to the Mac is just a better or the only solution. Most notably, multitasking is quite difficult. Yeah, I could have went with a bigger screen, but even then, just the way the software works makes it hard. I really wish that I was able to have free moving tabs like in macOS. File management is not the best, which does not help someone like myself who needs to organize all the different photos I take, which is why I just don't. With the lack of pro apps like Final Cut Pro, the full desktop versions of Adobe software, Sketch that I can complete design on here, I have to resort back to my Mac, which isn't actually a bad thing because I love using it. The power of the M1 chip isn't really taken advantage of, and there just isn't enough that you can throw at the iPad that does it justice. When the iPad originally came out in May 2021, I had really high hopes for iPadOS 15, but since then I've been really disappointed. But with all that aside, this is the iPad Pro and how I use it in my day-to-day workflow as a content creator. I hope that I was able to give you guys a unique perspective and show you how it performs in several different use cases. For me, I still feel limited by iPadOS and view this device as just another tool to help me along the process rather than being a full laptop replacement. But with that all said, the power of the M1 chip makes it very future-proof and able to keep up with my work for at least the next 4 years. The smaller 11-inch size is fantastic because you get a more than capable device in such a small and portable form factor. The Magic Keyboard makes makes navigating throughout the device easier and taking notes a breeze. But if I want to change the scenery, popping it off is quick, and whipping out the Apple Pencil allows me to jot down ideas like a pro. Starting at $7.99 for the 11-inch model and $10.99 for the 12.9, it is not cheap, so you should view it as an investment and really have a good understanding of how it will help you get your work done. It's worth checking out the iPad Air or a certified refurbished iPad Pro, because depending on your needs, you can still get a great experience at a fraction of the price. To those of you who have made it to this point in the video, I want to say thank you. I really appreciate it. If you want to see more tech related content from me in the very near future, be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks again for watching, and take care.